Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to the Miscellaneous Debris Podcast with me, your host, the Mad Chatter, Ryan MK. That's right. That's right. Thank you for joining. I hope you all check the social media at RMK Madness on the Twitters, on the Grams, and check out all my stuffs there. Exciting stuff coming up. Yes, yes, yes. I'll get into that in a bit. I hope you've all been well since we last spoke, since the last pod. It's been pretty good here at the Madhouse MK, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So puff down on the J while I'm talking. That's how we do. That's how we do. It's running on one side a little bit. We gotta fix that real quick, I don't like a joint that's a running. You know what I mean? Anyway, so pretty good here. We've only got a couple weeks left of school now. It's exciting. Still doing the online thing. So nice that we're approaching the end of that. A nice little break this summer. You know, it's a little light at the end of the tunnel. And yeah, excited for that. Weather's been a little spotty here in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Had a couple of chilly days. Not like the food chilly, a little chilly outside, cold outside. Some rainy days, which I personally love. I love rain. I love the gray. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the sun on occasion. And I love me the nighttime. But I love a nice afternoon gloom with some rain. Yeah, I like that stuff. It's my kind of weather. Actually, I'm like a gloomy kind of person, I wouldn't say. It's just yeah, that's what I like outside because it's not too cold, not too hot, it's not too bright, but it's not pitch black. Yeah. Brightness, the temperature, it's all nice. It's all nice. You throw a little rain in there, I love rain. So some of that going on. Spring showers. But we still been getting outside despite that on the nice days, after, you know, you got the winter and all the COVID stuff, so you're staying a lot inside. So it's nice to get out and do something. Had a nice water gun fight. Posted a little bit of a picture of that. I had all the squirt guns loaded up, ready to go. Take them out on the children's. Of course they got some. Of course the boys got some. We had a nice fun squirt gun fight. The boys are getting out on their bikes again. I'm getting out there, getting back into my martial arts stuff, swinging my bow staff around. It's so nice. It's so nice. So a lot of that. We also recently went through things with the money, found out, hey, we got a little bit, and invested in a Switch. Yeah, Nintendo Switch. Got one of those a little while back. So been getting into that a little bit more. It's really cool, the Nintendo Online. Been checking out a lot of the old school Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I always bring a particular game up. It was on the regular Nintendo. Little purple ball with eyes. You had to go solve puzzles. Basically, you had to escape rooms. You had to get out of a room, but it was like a puzzle on how to get out of there. It's called The Adventures of Lolo. It was one of my favorite games. And so many people, I bring up this fucking game and they want to talk about old school Nintendo games. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. But you know what? Nintendo Online does. Because they have it. So exciting. So it's been nice to check that out. The Nintendo Switch. We got the Mario Party. It's the main reason. Because we just a Mario Party family. We love that shit. And the boys, whew, they love them some Mario Party too. And the youngest one, whew, the 3, almost 4-year-old, Mr. Renly, he be killing it at Mario Party. Just killing it. It's crazy. But speaking of a party, there was also the NFL draft. Excuse me, since we last spoke. And I'm not going to get much into it because I do my own football thing, which, by the way, if you're interested in that, if you're into football, fantasy football, check out my Dynasty Madness podcast with me and my buddy, Aaron Stewart, the March Heron. And I do player writing for playerprofiler.com. It's a fantasy football website. You can check that stuff out if you want to. It's all on my social. But the NFL draft is kind of a big thing in the sports calendar year, you know. Football is still the number one sport in the country. Yeah, despite all those people who said they wouldn't watch if the players were going to kneel and shit like that. I wonder how many of them actually don't watch football anymore. I know some people are spoiled rich athletes talk about. It's funny, they'll talk about spoiled rich athletes, but then they defend the spoiled rich politicians. And I don't even think the athletes are spoiled or rich. That's what they label that. How are they spoiled or rich? Explain. I mean, don't explain the rich part. I get that. Okay. But that's not all of them. I mean, people just they don't get it. I don't get it. But the NFL had its draft in Cleveland. And it was fun. It was interesting. Still, COVID protocols and things going on. So definitely still not the same as last year, obviously a step above that, but still not normal, which is okay with me. I'm okay with, a lot of people, even those that, well, you have the chunk of the country that has their opinions on the validity of COVID and vaccines and all that shit because they're bright people. But you even have some of the ones that fully believe in COVID and all this that are just kind of it's almost a COVID fatigue where you just tired of dealing with it. But I mean, I'm kind of an homebody. I kind of like hanging at home. I don't like large crowds of people because there's a good chance a chunk of those people I'm not going to be happy in conversation with. Like, so I'm okay, with restrictions and all that, mainly because of the safety, but the other stuff is kind of a bonus. But so I'm okay. And again, kind of makes it a little more interesting when shit's different. It was cool to have a house band. The house band was just rocking. And I don't mean that like they were great or anything. They were just rolling. And there were some times when they were rolling and the commissioner, Roger Goodell, was standing up at that podium ready to make a pick, and that house band did not take the hint. But the big surprise of the draft really was quarterback Justin Fields going to the Chicago Bears. There's a couple of teams that could have used his services that ended up passing on him. And there was some stuff that came out before the draft questioning his work. But you talk to people that know the kid, play with the kid, coach the kid. It's all BS. And there's always some of that shit that comes out about somebody before. It also seems to happen a lot to black quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. But he fell a little bit in the draft. The Bears traded up and snagged him. Surprising move. And the Bears, being not the greatest run organization, might have finally got something right. There you go. And again, if you like the foosball stuff, the fantasy foosball stuff, please check out my other stuffs on my social. I do quite well myself, so my advice can't be that terrible because it's what I do to win. So, But as mentioned, school is almost over. And with it brings summertime. Good old summertime. Oh, summertime. The love and hate relationship that I have with summertime. So as I said, a bit of a love and hate relationship with summertime. With summertime, that's right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Summer's cool and all, I mean, I'm much more of a fall guy, to be honest. Uh, I love the changing of everything, nature, trees, the leaves, everything, just the colors. Again, we go back to, in fall, you start to get a little more gloomy weather. I like the gray skies. And I just love the season. I mean, yes, weather-wise, everything that comes along with it, but just, holiday-wise and everything like that. Because, you get into fall and, football's about to kick off and October's coming with Halloween and then after Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. Such a great few months of the year. Uh Really, it's kind of nice because my birthday's on August 30th. So it's like I had my birthday and then it's like, all right, let's get fucking rocking and rolling on the end of the year, huh? Bring me some September, October, and then let's hit up November with the turkey and December with the gifts. It's great. That's my favorite time of the year. Really, really is. And it's not that I dislike summer. I mean, I'll admit it's a lot fucking better now that I moved to Colorado. Not just because we have this wonderful ganja here. No, no, no. It's in Iowa when I live there. The summers are ridiculous, hot, humid. The humidity just kills me. I don't know if it's my allergies or what, but I mean, it would get hot. It's so damn humid out sometimes. I would step outside and be like, no, fuck this, because I feel like it would affect my breathing. And it was probably all in my head, but but it just like I fucking hated it. So it's been better in Colorado this summers, and I do love it here because you got Six Flags, which is nice to hit on occasion. But then there's Waterworld, which is my favorite. That's like a must hit every summer. Waterworld, and it's got some of the best. I just love it. It's one of the top water parks in the country, and it really is worthy of that status. Of course, the infamous ride. Well, I call it infamous, and then I can't think of its fucking name. Journey to the Center of the. It's a great underground raft ride with animatronic dinosaurs and shit. It's the best. It's the best. So that place is great. And then, of course, the Renaissance Festival. Now, some Renaissance festivals are a bit of a joke. They had one in Iowa. I couldn't even bother to attend because I saw pictures and I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's like a Renaissance cosplay get together. That's no Renaissance festival. No, the Colorado Ren Festival it's in Larkspur, Colorado. The place that it's held, the grounds, is set up specifically for it. I mean, it has the shops built in, it has walkways, it has the field for the jousting, everything set up. And it's such a blast to go to. I mean, because they have comedy type shows, they have sword swallowers. Um, I don't know what the people are called that play with fire. Not pyromaniacs, no. For entertainment, like sword swallowers, but they fuck around with fire. Can't remember. But so you got these different, shows of skill and things like that. One of my favorites, really, in all of the Renaissance Festival, is the tomato stand, where people get to. There's a guy gets up there, gets his head and his hands in, almost like a guillotine. Well, I guess the guillotine does the guillotine have the hands thing? I don't know. He gets up there, and then people pay to throw tomatoes at him. But they just talk shit the entire time. And they give no fucks. You could be a 5-year-old kid there trying to throw tomatoes at them, and they will destroy you. Destroy you. Murdered by words. Eviscerate. They'll just eviscerate with their insults, no matter who's there. I've seen him take down cute little innocent 7-year-old girls, just blistering insults. It's crazy, but it's the funniest shit. It's the funniest shit. You can't have thin skin and go up there. I've seen a couple of dudes get real pissed. It's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have the whole Renaissance Festival beating your ass down if you try and start some shit. Those guys are great. Now, obviously, last year couldn't do a lot of that shit, right? You couldn't do anything because of COVID. And we don't have a lot planned for 2021 because, as we'll talk a little bit later, we can't rest on our laurels with this COVID shit, and so we're trying to play shit safe. But I do think we'll be going to the Renaissance Festival. The wife and I finally get to go this year. My brother, Mr. Taco Cat, who I mention, but never brings his ass on the podcast. One of these days, I'm gonna kick him in the face. You know what? When he's here visiting, I'm gonna make his ass we're gonna do a side by side. I'm gonna have him sit right here with me, and we're gonna fucking pod. I'm gonna be like, you're coming up to the smoke room, to the smoke/pod room, and we're gonna fucking pod while you're here in Colorado, bitch. That's right. So Taco Cat is coming to visit this summer, and I do plan on going to the festival with him. Me and the wife do. So that'll be nice to get back to that. And we figure we're going to be vaccinated, right? We can still wear masks. It's outside. So I think it's a little more comfortable, a little bit better off, right? But even though it's summer, and you should be getting outside and doing a lot of stuff outside, there's still a lot to check out on TV, on the screens, Of course, in sports, and if you don't care about sports at all, skip ahead just a few minutes. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but we do have the NBA playoffs coming up in a couple of weeks. And, it was really cool last year with the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. You had these modified playoff bracket just because of everything that happened with COVID, and they had to stop their seasons. And then when they started up again, a little bit left or right, they did some cool stuff. So coming into this year's playoffs, where they didn't have a very long break because of the COVID layoff, they didn't have a very long break between the end of last season and the beginning of this season. So both leagues have a bit of a shortened season, and both have a bit of a restructured playoffs. And it's actually pretty freaking interesting. The NBA one, what they're doing is a play-in tournament. And basically, this will start, I believe it was May 18th to the 21st, May 18th, May 19th, something like that, to the 21st. And then after that, the playoffs will start. The actual playoffs start on the 22nd. But the NBA playoffs, or this mini tournament, is basically going to be, so they'll take the last 4 teams in the standings, in the East and in the West. So essentially what would be 7, 8, 9, and 10 seed, right? So seeds 7 through 10. The 7 seed will play the 8 seed. The 9 seed will play the 10 seed. Whoever wins between the 7 and the 8 seed will officially become the 7th seed for the playoffs. Now the team that, we should get back to this one. Yes, my friend. So the team, my friends, or my friend, maybe I just have one person that listens to this, but the team that loses that 7 versus 8 matchup gets to play for the 8th seed still, because they will play the winner of the 9-10 matchup, the 9 seed versus the 10 seed. Whoever wins that will go to play the loser of the 7-8, and that will determine the 8th seed. So they're going to do that for the East Division, or the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. So that's pretty cool. I kind of like that. Some of the players are bitching. I kind of like it. The NHL playoffs, their shit's a little bit different this year too, because while they're not really changing the playoff structure or anything like that, they did realign the divisions this year. And they basically did that because of travel restrictions pertaining to COVID and stuff, because hockey, there's a handful of teams that are in Canada. And because of the international travel stuff with COVID and everything like that, there was some issues there, right? So they basically put all of the Canadian teams in one division. That way, in the first two rounds of the playoffs, we're going to have all divisional games, right? So teams will all be playing other teams in their division. And then that should allow enough time to where it gets to a point where, oh, okay, if a Canadian team is still left, they'll be able to figure out travel from Canada. You know, they did a good job putting in precautions and things like that. I think both leagues. And there's been some bumps in the road, particularly with hockey, but I feel like they've done a solid job for the most part. And we're getting finally to the playoffs. But of course, sports, that's not at all. That's not at all. That's not it. Blah, blah. That's not all. That's not it at all. No. Because see, summertime, you're going to get your kick-ass movie flicks. And again, because of COVID, it's not quite the same shit anymore as it used to be. Like going to the theater, that is. Because I don't even know if I'll do that shit ever again. Especially if you're going to have places like HBO hosting, hey, we're releasing these movies in the theater, but also on HBO. That's fucking fantastic. Give me more of that. Oh, damn. I just took a drink of tea. I was going to say, I feel like it went down the wrong way, and I'm going to cough. And that's exactly what's happening. Another drink. Oh, just smooth it out. Whew. That could have been a bad one. I recovered well. But we do have some kick-ass flicks coming. Not any. I'll be going to see in the theater. Fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to look at it. But you got Guy Ritchie's new film, The Wrath of Man. Now, I did not even see his last film, which was called what? I can't even remember. But I used to be such a Guy Ritchie fan. Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels. One of the greatest movies ever. We grow copious amounts of ganja. Yes. Such a great movie. Snatch. A fucking Peruvian blue. Oh, big man. Big frog, aren't you? Bare knuckle boxing gypsy champion. That movie is top 5 of mine for sure. In all of life, Snatch is in my top 5. I love that movie to death. Love it to death. Rock and Rolla was good. He's got some good stuff. The Man from something. Uncle. That's it. That's the one I need. I'm pretty sure that's the last guy. I need to check that one out. But then you got Wrath of Man coming. Looks a little more action-packed than like his normal shit. But it's Jason Statham. I'm sure I'll check it out. Maybe it will, impress me. Maybe. But from the previews, I'm just kind of like, it doesn't feel Guy Ritchie. But I got to check out this Man from Uncle flick as well. And then I also thought it was interesting. They're bringing back Saw, but it's called Spiral from the book of Saw. And it's got Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson. It looks interesting as shit. But me and the wife, we are big, huge fans of the Saw stuff. We just, in general, like fucking horror movies. We used to have this thing where we would sit and go on Netflix, Hulu, whatever, and just pick out. What the hell is that? Let's try that. Maybe that's doing. But we would go and pick out a horror movie every night. We did this for weeks, maybe months. I don't know. But we were watching a horror movie almost every damn night. We saw some pretty fucked up shit. Remember this one movie? There's a story. I wish I could remember it. See, if I had thought about putting this in my notes and it wasn't just off the top of my head, I would have made notes specifically about this movie. But there's an incident in Russia, on a mountain. Some people disappeared, and basically, it's a true story. But the people that made this movie took that and turned it into something else. And these people found this hatch and this government like underground research thing in the mountain, and they ended up in contact with like alien beings and all this crazy shit. It was nuts. It was nuts. So we like the horror. So, we're going to be excited to check out this new, add-on to the Saw universe. And then there's the remake of George Romero's Army of the Dead. I'm always up for fucking zombie movies. So I'm down for that. Then you got Space Jam coming. The LeBron James version. And this has got to be kind of interesting and trippy. I'm going to get super high and watch this shit with the wife. I mean, we'll probably check it out with the kids first. Or maybe the wife and I need to watch it high as shit first, and then we'll watch it with the kids. But the kids are going to want to see it too. But it appears as though LeBron James travels throughout the Warner Brothers universe. So we're gonna run into some pretty interesting how should I say, non-cartoon, non-Looney Tunes characters from the WB. And it's going to be fun. I think that's going to be a fun movie. Ghostbusters Afterlife. I've heard mixed feelings about this from people on this coming out because they were expecting a real, kind of return to like Ghost. But this shit looks amazing to me. It looks a little bit more serious, maybe, but I think it looks freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. And the storyline seems right. I just check it out if you haven't. If you've ever enjoyed Ghostbusters, please check out the trailer for this. It looks fun as hell to me. And then, of course, Suicide Squad 2. I've already talked about that a lot, but I'm just super excited for that one because I like the first one more than most people, but this one, oh shit, it looks great. Something I have to get blasted and just like, I'm gonna have to smoke, roll a blunt each for me and the wife. Blunt each. Yeah, for sure. Blunt each, and then maybe a dab or two, maybe some edibles. Get nice and fucked up. Watch the Suicide Squad 2. Excited for that. Excited for that. Excited for a John Cena role. I never thought I'd say that before, but I kind of am. I kind of am. And then I did find out this movie's not coming out in 2021, but it will be out. Scream 5. 2022. Now, I must admit, even though I'm a big fan of the Saw movies, I was disappointed in Scream 3. Got very excited when they brought back Scream 4, and it wasn't bad. But I really want them to hit it out of the park with one of these, bring me back to how I felt that original Scream. So they're coming out with a Scream 5. Not a lot of details about it yet, but hopefully this one can, go top notch. I'm hoping so. Because that's one me and my brother like, the Mr. Taco Cat, the aforementioned, often mentioned Taco Cat. Yes. The Scream. It's good stuff. It's hard to beat that first one though. Hard to beat that. That was some good shit. But then you got new TV shows coming out too, right? You got Star Wars, The Bad Batch coming. And, for me, I see we need to get Taco on here for a Star Wars conversation. We got to have a nice long Star Wars pod one of these days. But this Bad Batch looks like a lot of fun. It's an animated show, but see, I don't care. I eat up Star Wars like I was trying to say. I eat that shit up, cartoon or not. Clone Wars, yes. Rebels, yes. Give me all. It's that Droid Tales. I'll check some Droid Tales out. Give me Star Wars shit. I'll eat it up. So the Bad Batch basically is a spinoff of the Clone Wars, where a bad batch of clone troopers just, gets into some shits every episode. Then you got Loki coming out on Disney Plus. I haven't gotten into Falcon and Winter Soldier so much yet. But I'm going to be very excited for Loki. He's one of my top villains. I'd have to say he's some good shit. And then you got this Lord of the Rings series coming out on Amazon. The first season supposed to be out this year, and it's supposed to take place like years before Frodo. So I'm interested to see where they take this all. Should be interesting. Secret of Skinwalker season 2. I was putting more new stuff in here, but I was such a big fan of I'm just such a big fan of anything aliens, UFO, paranormal, all that shit. And Skinwalker Ranch has all that stuff. And I really like the secret of the Skinwalker show. It's a little bit hokey, cheesy at times, but for the most part, I love the shit. I do. And last but not least, we finally, and this one, kind of like Scream 5, not coming out till 2022, but I got to mention it because we finally got our first look at House of the Dragon. This shit looks crazy. It's good to see Thrones back on the screen. Like just even a little piece of like, oh, we're getting some Game of Thrones back. It's fucking exciting. And I know there's going to be some that still have a bad taste in their mouth after the end, how everything ended with the season. But, I'm over it. I've gone back and watched a lot of it. I still have my issues with the very final episode, but I'm not on board with the same people that are like the entire past 2 seasons sucked or last 2 seasons sucked. I'm not on board with that. I'm not even on board with the last season sucked. I wish the very last episode had been done different, or the last couple maybe even. But I really enjoyed the first few episodes of the final season. So to each their own perspective. But I don't give a damn about any of that because I'm ready to learn about House Targaryen in the Civil War and how they got to be where they were at when Game of Thrones happened. So yeah, give me some more Game of Thrones shit. I'll eat that shit up too. Nom, 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 nom. Nom, 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 nom. House of the Dragon. It's coming. I can't fucking wait. Speaking of Civil War, it's a very weird transition, but it's a good one because, those Trumpers who always talk about, and those extreme far right, the ones who always talk about, Civil War and being ready for Civil War and all this crap. Boy, they are riled up again. So I'm going to get into that. All right. Sorry, I had to pause quick before this particular segment because I had to empty the bladder. And now we can get into this, the Trump stuff, because really something happened. The Facebook ban on Trump was upheld. That's right. An independent oversight board was looking into it, and they decided to uphold the ban. This is fucking great. It's fantastic. It's going to piss Trump off more, which is fantastic. And it did. He went off. Lashed out again, as per usual with Donald Trump. More election BS. He doesn't have free speech. However, this oversight board did say that the indefinite ban, the term indefinite, was too much. So they want Facebook to come back in 6 months and reevaluate everything. And yeah. So apparently they're going to have to. And what is Trump going to be any different in 6 months? Because I'm assuming they can't. They're not going to let him back on if he's still spouting election bullshit and all this. The big lie is what they call it. Biden's not our president. Oh, and I've got something for you on this, the big lie, as they call. And this is going to come in the form of a new little skit thing I'm doing called What the Fuck of the Week. So each week I will be releasing a short video, 5 to 10 minutes, somewhere along there, discussing a particular topic. My weekly what the fuck topic. That's right. So I'm going to be getting into that. But anyway, so Trump's ban upheld. Hoorah. Let's pate. Continue to silence that bitch. People want to talk about free speech being silent. It's funny that those who support him, they're always so worried about the Second Amendment, right? Don't take their guns. But with all these laws being passed, that is more like voter suppression than voter protection. With those being passed, with things they've done to try and limit what protesters can do, using terminology to refer to protesters as rioters. I mean, they're essentially attacking the First Amendment, and these people don't care. Unless you're trying to silence the orange Cheeto god. If you're trying to silence him, no, that is unacceptable. Otherwise, attack the First Amendment all you like. These fucking people. Trump's buddy, meanwhile, Ted Cruz. Oh, and they just had dinner together. But he basically admitted this whole pay for play type shit because he's on Twitter, basically talking to big business. And this went wrong, but unless they don't give a shit. But he basically admitted looking the other way as far as tax breaks, things like that, if for donation money, basically. And now that some of these big business support like voting rights and things like that, it's pissing some of these Republicans off because they're not supporting the things they want them to support. So now they're like, I don't know if I'll look the other way anymore, and I won't take your donation money. Fucking idiots. It's just I don't know how you can make it any more transparent, and still he's gonna get votes. It's insane. And another Trump buddy, Mr. Vladimir Putin, he's up to no good. I mean, when's he never not up to no good? But Russia soon to test this new nuclear weapon called the Satan 2, because apparently the first one is called Satan, and this is the part 2, so it's Satan 2. Call it something Satan. I'm just that's I imagine that's some pretty scary shit. But the Satan, the first one, was made back in the 70s. So this is like a big upgrade, right? Apparently, they've made it specifically so it can evade defensive tactics. And that's fucking crazy. It means potentially a target of theirs could be hit before they even knew anything was coming. That's some scary shit. He also wants to make it illegal in Russia to compare the Stalin era version of Russia, the USSR, to Hitler's Germany. And it's crazy because that's very comparable to me, but it's very comparable to Trump wanting to downplay slavery and all that. Like, let's change history. Let's not talk about the bad shit we did. We're great. It's so stupid. It's crazy what some people will believe in. I mean, some people still believe in Trump enough to kill fellow countrymen in a civil war. They've been manipulated over and over and over. Believe shit like healthcare isn't a right. America's better. We have more freedom. And again, they ignore the attack on the First Amendment. Many of these people that support this are so culturally ignorant. They act like everywhere in Europe's some like cesspool or something. I just, meanwhile, you got rich white people in power whining about tax hikes, and some of these fuckers will defend them, back them up, agree. Because you got to earn your way here. No freebies, no handouts. Health care is not a right. Shit like that. But we're the sheep. They've got you so fucked up and so fucked up and manipulated that you're siding with, like, it blows my mind. But we're the sheep. We exhibit sheep behavior. I don't know. Seems pretty ludicrous. Seems pretty ludicrous to me, if you ask me, because I would say the sheep behavior seems to be coming a lot more from that side. A little sad. Had to revert to the pipe. My joint didn't make it the entirety of the podcast. It's disappointing. It's disappointing. But we have reached that time. End of the pod. So let's, end this fucking tea party, shall we? But before we do, I was mentioning sheep behavior. And I would say continue to mask up. Make sure to get vaccinated. Keep up that sheep behavior. Because since we're such sheep, I really like people that like are ready to get rid of the mask and they'll be happy when I'm gonna wear mine for a while. I kind of like it, and I really enjoyed not being sick really over the course of. It's been nice, I would say. So to continue to mask up for now, make sure to get vaccinated. Sheep behavior, sheep behavior, a sheep behavior. Then call me Mr. Sheeps. Whatever. Hope you dig that song. It'll be in my greatest hits album. But see, scientists, doctors, they're still worried about some of the shit out there because what they're really worried about now is what they call escape mutants. And these are COVID variants that have mutated to the point where they can like sneak past the immune system. Now, this is scary shit. And a good, I guess, a good breeding ground, a perfect place for these kinds of mutated variants, these escape mutants to form is in areas of, partially vaccinated people. We've got lots of those around the country right now. And then like low immunity communities. Obviously, we have those. So these could pop up and we need to stop that. It's crucial to prevent that from happening because we want to prevent a stage in which they call full vaccine escape. So we want to make sure we get a cap on this shit before that happens, because once that happens, they may have mutated to the point where they can circumvent vaccines. And from what I understand, in their entirety, I did. So for the most part, doctors and scientists believe boosters, once they start doing that, those will help. There's going to be things that help. But some of these mutated variants, they just, you can only do so much because once they mutate so much, it becomes a whole different ball game, right? It's a whole nother story. So hopefully we don't get to that point because, I mean, it feels like we should start seeing a decline soon. At least it's believed. But everything right now is still a little bit scary. And it could get worse again before it eventually gets better because of these escape mutants. So keep up that sheep behavior so we could try and beat this thing into the fucking ground. There's not enough of us doing it. because there's way too many anti-mask, anti-vax, fuckhead idiots. But we got to do our part. We got to do what we can. We'll keep up our sheep behavior for the good of the people, while the true sheep continue to be shithead sheep while their maker gets ready to just fucking carve them up. I don't know. That's what I got. With that said, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's get out of here. Make sure to check out my weekly What the Fuck when I debut that. Should be able to find it on Twitter, on Instagram, right along with this, with my advertisement of this podcast. Should be able to find it on my social. And also along with a couple other debuts I've got going. My Mad Cooking with the Chatter, right? That one had my debut episode, did some roast and potatoes. That's one where I just do some simple meals, show you how to make them it's mainly for my college age son, my oldest son. And I know, I don't look that old. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I was a teenage dad, so you'll have that. But college age son, and he, despite me being a cook and having cooked for a long time and trying to help him as he got older, I mean, he retained none of it. And so he didn't pick up anything from me over the time we lived together. So now he's kind of like, I could use some tips on how to. So I present to you Mad Cooking with the Chatter. Check it out, please. And then also another great idea I had, and I'm not really patting myself on that. Like, I think it's great and I think it's fun, and other people will too. And for those that don't, that's fine. Watch other shit. But I also got one out now called The Mad Chatter's Crazy Shit About Space. That's right. And I talk about some of the crazy shit that like you might not know about pertaining to space. It could be about our solar system, exoplanets, different solar systems, the universe in general. We're going to get into it. And the debut episode talks about the moons in our solar system, because Jupiter, Saturn, even some of the colder moon, Neptune, Uranus, they got some. Our solar system has some pretty amazing shit in it. There's a lot of cool stuff in space, right? All throughout space. Mysterious, compelling, all of that. But there's a lot of that shit in our own backyard too. So I get into a lot of that stuff in our solar system, outside our solar system, whatever. Crazy space shit, getting into it. So make sure you check that out as well. And the fantasy football stuff, if you're into that, right? All right. Let's get the fuck out of here. Make sure to go outside. It is nice. Have some fun. Squirt guns. Do some squirt gun stuff. It's the best. But wear a mask. Keep up that sheep behavior. All right, everybody. As always, much love. Get the fuck out of here. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Stay prepared. Until next time, have a great weekend. The Mad Chatter says, out. Off and out.